So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Vika, and I will present Alma's Brand Refinement 2022. This is actually a first webinar of its type, not including the session we had earlier today. Presenting the output of a very long process. We took a deep dive into our core identity and the role we play in our partners' lives, because a lot of the times when we create new marketing activities, concepts, and we work on our brands, we have you in mind. So it's very important for us to share the output of this process. I will begin. So our main goal is to create a globally aligned, strong brand by building a comprehensive and solid brand infrastructure, one that unites and serves us all. We'll be using three main elements: a unique and proprietary brand visuality. This will be the main focus of this presentation. The second one is global brand alignment, which is a joint effort based on the tools we will provide shortly. And the third one is the brand persona we are building that contains all of the elements, the visual, the content, everything that sets us apart in our industry. So obviously, no need to say a strong brand leverages all our marketing and sales efforts. It's a valuable tool that we want to establish. We have established it, and now we want to keep maintaining it. I have a short video that will review the process that we did overall, and then I'll continue. Okay, so I'll dive into the elements shown very quickly in this video, and I'll explain a little bit about the rationale that we had when developing our updated or refreshed visuality. So there are four main aspects of this process. The first one is the graphic elements. The second one is the product's visual identity. Same goes to the people's visual identity. And by people, I mean the models or the visuals we sometimes use from bank images to show the people who represent us. And the last one is the storytelling and tone of voice. This is probably the most significant part developed that was developed from scratch, because we always knew what our story is, but we never wrote it, and we never gave tools for our partners to use the tone of voice to talk and to present themselves as Alma. So a quick review for each one. So this is a comparison. The main differences in terms of the graphic elements. You will see on the left our color palette that was created in 2018, and the font and the graphic visual triangles. So what we did in 2022, we removed the turquoise. We wanted our visuality to be more sophisticated, more high-end. And we believe that we didn't want to make the transformation too dramatic. So we just removed one color and we added a lot of depth to our purple color, which is well recognized with Alma. We're not going to let it go at this point. We just refined its usage and the way we use it. A word about the font. We used to have two main fonts. One was the Myriad, and the second was Frank Rule. We now switched completely to Mont. We have three types of fonts. The font font works really good with the digital assets, and we know that this is where the focus goes, and we're going with it. And the last part are the triangles. We decided it's time to refresh them up a bit, and instead we have this, triangle lines, diagonal lines that we are using very cautiously whenever we want to give the Alma touch. The second element is the visual identity of our platform. So you already know the type of product photos we have. On the left, it's product photos called pack shots. This is the standard that is also used in our industry. We will keep this type of photos for more technical and functional needs, like documents and maybe more formal materials. But now we will have a new visual language for our platforms, as you can see on the right. We have a lot of photo shoot projects for each platform, including a staging, to give our platform the look of how it will appear, how it will be presented in high-end clinics, to give it the vibe of this is how our platform can look in your clinic. We want to insert ourselves in a way into our partners and customers' minds, and create this want of having these platforms. The third element, as I mentioned, are the people. We usually used stock images, and I don't have to tell you about the problem of using stock images when you find out that a month later all your competitors are using the same great photo that you thought you found. We also had a photo shoot with 6 models. We have hundreds of photos of them within different variety, together, alone, outside, in studio images, everything that can basically meet all our needs when it comes to models. Obviously, that this is not endless and they are the same. So if you want 20 people, that's not going to answer all your needs, but this is definitely the infrastructure, the visual infrastructure of visuals and people for the Alma brand. And the last part is the brand story and tone of voice. As I mentioned, we did not have a written story. We had segments of content about Alma, but we never had one story that addresses Alma and the way we perceive ourselves and what we have to say and what we stand for. So we have this type of story, and we also have a really long and detailed, but also very easy and accessible document if you want to write the Alma way. This is the content principles we have, and it addresses all kind of nuances if you want to write a more professional piece of content or a lighter piece of content. It even has specific examples of what to use, which word to use, which word not to use. We believe that a tone of voice is something, especially in today's world where content is probably everything or a really big element in brand activities, that once you have an aligned tone of voice, the brand always kind of leads, and you can make sure that people recognize you, even though the design is maybe a little bit different from time to time, or obviously you have other platforms. But once you have an established tone of voice, this is something that is very powerful for a brand. I have a snapshot here of the new updated visuality. As you can see, in my opinion, which is a little bit biased, but it looks very high-end, much more sophisticated. And every element here is proprietary Alma elements. The people, the platforms, the overall design, the usage of the color palette, and all the elements. So everything that I covered here is available on a new global brand guidelines website. I'm gonna give you a quick review and a sneak peek. We understand that in order for our partners to implement these changes, we need to allow them access to pretty much everything and encourage you to use as much as you can, approach us whenever you need, and we are working on this together. So the website consists of 3 parts. The first one is the brand philosophy, especially in a website like this, when people want to understand a little bit more about the brand, not just the technical elements, but also to understand what we have to say to this world, what we stand for, what are our beliefs when it comes to beauty and people and whatever. The second part is the brand guidelines, the more technical aspect, with a lot of detailed information that is also very valuable for the graphic designers and the vendors you sometimes work with to better understand how to design materials in the ALMA alignment. And the third part is the sub-brands guidelines. And when I say sub-brands, I mean the major and more significant platforms that we have, like, you know, Soprano Titanium is a brand on its own. It has its own guidelines. And I will address very quickly on how this change affects them. So this is a snapshot of the brand philosophy part. And by that, I mean a set of content pieces that tell a little bit about how we think of beauty, what we think of global, what it means to be a global brand, how we take into consideration global alignment on one hand, but local adaptation that is obviously very required on the other. The experience we believe people should have when working with ALMA. All these pieces of content are here to make the viewer understand a little bit who are they facing and the partner they will eventually have. The brand guidelines part is, like I said, a more technical section, do's and don'ts, proportions, all types of grids and vectors and a lot of technical words that sometimes only graphic designers understand. But, you know, when it comes to a high-end brand, these types of details are very significant. And there's a lot more than just a snapshot, but this is the basic content. And the third and last part is the sub-brands guidelines. So we have inside this website a dedicated section for each of our leading sub-brands / platforms. This is an example of Alma Hybrid. It doesn't look like that. I will show you in a second how it looks like. But you can see that Alma Hybrid has its own color palette, the logo, the graphic elements. It's still there. And I want to say a word, like I promised, about the implementation of this refinement when it comes to the sub-brands. We decided not to create a chaotic change. And the only thing that will be implemented when it comes to sub-brands is the font. So we ourselves decided not to go back and change only things from now on. And Mont is the font that we are now using for all our materials. Otherwise, if you present a post that is dedicated to Alma Hybrid, you can still, you should still use its own brand guidelines. This is a short video about how this website looks. Okay, so you can see this is the homepage where you have the most popular section. You have the brand philosophy. It has the what was important for us when creating this website is that you can access the information you need from any place on it. If you don't want to read about Alma's philosophy, you can skip right to the visual guidelines of soprano titanium or any other content that may be interesting to you. So it's not, even though it has a lot of Alma branded content, it's very accessible and very useful also as a practical tool. So here, this is skipping between the philosophy part. And now we're getting to the more practical technical part. You can see the logo and how to use it, when you customize it, with the trademark, without it, with no trademark. We have also a small explanation on how, or even better, why this is the guidelines, just to have a little bit more rational about the things we do. We have the color palette, the visual identity of the people, a little bit about the font, and here are the grids, and this is, for me, the most technical part of this website. Little bit of a sample of the materials you can have. And this is the Alma. And I want to take this opportunity. Now we're going to go to this is the sub-brands part. So you can see as it scrolls down, the specific guidelines for each sub-brand. And this is where I want to say that even though we have different sub-brands and the Alma hybrid doesn't share an audience or a visual language like the soprano titanium, the core messaging and the core values that each sub-brand has are the same as Alma, meaning that there is no sub-brand that will contradict our values as a brand, and the differentiation are on more superficial elements, like specific colors and maybe images, if we want to approach a more younger audience, or if we want to create something high-end. So this is it from my side. Of course, if you have any specific questions, I will just say that all of these materials, the images, are available on Partner Zone under collateral, under corporate collateral section, including this website. From our side, I can only tell you that in terms of updating materials, we decided to update our three main collaterals, which is the portfolio, the corporate brochure, and the PPT template, which is obviously used a lot. We will not be going back and changing every small ad. We always implement changes going forward. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'm here. Okay.
No question. It's clear for me.
Thank you. I try to make it quick and clear. And if you want to, if in any stage you are working with our materials and you have any questions, you can approach directly to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Vika.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Vika.
Yeah, have a good day.
Thank you, Vika.
Bye, guys.
Thank
See you,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.